another session of interesting conversations on ethics in AI with FIA. Today I have a very interesting guest with me. I have Himanshu, who's the founder of Devnagri. What is Devnagri? But let's find it all from him. Hi Himanshu, welcome.
Thank you.
Why don't you begin with telling us what Devnagri is all about?
Okay, so Devnagri is an AI-powered translation platform. We help businesses to localize at scale. So imagine a world where English is the predominant language, where Indian users want to understand English in their own native language. So there is a layer called translation. So we use AI in translation and help businesses to localize their products, services, customer support, anything and everything where their customer can consume it in their native languages.
So if I understand you right, it's completely backed by AI?
Yes.
So you're the right person for us to tell us how do you see the role of ethics in this very AI-powered Devnagri?
Ethics is very, very important in AI. And in terms of languages, so what we have seen, the problems, like there are biases on modeling or training the models. So it comes like when I say he is a teacher and she is a nurse, right? So system understand that he is always like a teacher, is a human, is a man who is a teacher, and women always are a nurse.
Yes.
So those kind of biases should not be there at all.
Gender
And
biases.
Gender biases. Yeah, so the data should be so good that it should be inclusive, or out of that gender biases should not be there at all in the ethics of AI. So we are trying at Devnagri, we are trying that all data what goes into our system are free from all those biases.
How do you do that? How do you try that?
So we do develop algorithms for finding the gender biases. Second, we do have a human layer where whatever data goes to our system goes through a human layer and understand that what is going in and out. And then we do lots of R&D. Once we train our model, we don't publish it publicly automatically. We do a alpha release and then beta release and then test on several parameters out of it, and then we understand that whether it is biased or it is unbiased, and then we roll out our.
So if I understand you right, there are multiple layers of checks and balances for you to see. It reminds me, I don't know if you recall, I think Gemini went through a big toss when it came up with those Vikings. I think it gave and whole bias came up only of black people either as Vikings or, and I think that was very much a human bias that came in.
So all of the models what we have seen as large language models are trained on some biased data. So if I am a writer and I write like if I say Harry Potter, for that machine Harry Potter is a real world and the characters in Harry Potter is real, and once I train on those kind of data, it will definitely get a biased result, because in that human can fly on a broom.
Right. But most of the bias would come from human beings, right? Because they have their own sense of judgment. They perceive world in a specific way based on their own upbringing, environment. How do you remove that bias?
This is a very, very difficult subject, of course. But so I don't know how we can do it at a large scale, but I can tell how we do it at Devnagri for language scale. So we take care of the cultural nuances, like some words can be very offensive in some languages and some words cannot be very offensive, right? Or they are good in those languages. So we understand those kind of words, and we understand and try that those kind of words should not go to the system, and it should be very localized. So we understand that this language, these words are stop words for us. We can't use these kind of stop words. And our algorithm detect them and then understand them that these words cannot be used. So these are the differences what we are trying to create in terms of ethics, what we talk about.
Interesting. I quite like the kind of layered approach and the depth you are going into, but I just want you to use the same example that you're using of words which are maybe offensive in some language and not. So if there were no ethics, what do you think would go wrong?
Oh, you can culturally hurt somebody, right? So if a political party use some word which means something else, so that community of people will get hurt, and the sentiment get lost of the conversation, and it can create havocs in their minds that this party does not like us at all, and create a difference in their brain that this we don't want to vote them because of such small problems which language can bring.
I'm seeing a link between ethics and reputation over here.
Yes.
If you're ethically right, you can protect
your
reputation,
yes.
right? I mean, every day you read the newspaper about a politician saying something and the next day saying my statement was misconstrued. So maybe when you use ethics right, and if it is AI powered ethics, there could be little room for errors like that.
Yeah, so we should focus more on getting or collecting good quality data. So it should not be on the basis of humans only, or not biased data. So that selection is very important to train a model.
So first, how much of your work of Devnagri is focused on that, on getting unbiased data?
So we basically work on customer-centric data. So we understand the tone of that particular data, of that particular customer. We work with the human translators as well, who reviews those data, whether we are going it correct, because it can hamper a brand image altogether. So we get it vetted from our community of translators. We work with about 5,000 people who do this kind of qualification, annotation of those data, and find out whether this is culturally fit or not. These are experts in their own languages and cultures. So we use those kind of layers to understand, because human can make AI understand. So AI cannot understand itself, but a human can. Right? So that is how we take approach of.
So where ethics in AI is concerned, and that is what FIA is all about, how do you see the regulatory landscape in India?
So right now we have very less regulation on AI side, because it's very new, and regulation will follow, of course. But major thing what we think that security around personal data is very important. So what we do is like translate some government document and some personal policies or some, so that data should not go out and can be utilized with other means, right? So on that front, we use encryptions to safeguard that data, but as a policy level, we need that in a harder way, where companies, big companies, small companies cannot utilize those personal specific data to someone and circulate it and use on their benefits. Those kind of laggings is there right now, but we have DPDT Act where Data Protection Act is working, where so we are also contributing in the timelines that how it can be laid down and all those stuff. But it's going on, but it's too early to say.
Right. I'm sensing something called as, I would use that word, I don't know if that's a right word, is a collective responsibility that is required for a regulatory landscape. You just can't have the government do something. But I think companies like yours, which use AI, can also be responsible in a way to put safeguards and boundaries to see that the work that you do is
when I see AI lens, it should come from a top, right? So top is the government of a country should lay down some basic framework around AI ethics and get it implemented, because it's a large country, right? So large companies are there. So somebody in the top should say, yeah, this is the framework, you need to follow this, and this is how it should be worked. And there should be multiple audits around it. Regular audits on how a company is working in AI and what ethics they are using it, and whether they are following those guidelines or not. So same like the audits happen for finance, right? Audits should be happening for AI as well in the companies.
And how do you see the role of a community like FIA in this? What more
so FIA can be a voice to the all startup world, where they can, so the problem which I said, right? The basic framework is right now missing, right? So if we can work together and tell our voice to government directly, and work with the policymakers, so that we can create a bridge that how it should work, and collaboratively we should make some policy out of it, so that it should not get benefit only the small companies or the big companies. So everyone should be in win-win situation.
Right, and I think we'll reach out to you to lead that kind of a conversation, create more awareness and everything that needs to be done to push for a regulatory landscape for ethics in AI. Thank you very much for joining me. Thank you, listeners, for listening to Devnagri and to Himanshu.
Thank you very much.